ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the debut of Season 2 of the ESL Legendary Series. My name is TJ Osmo Cutie Sanders, and joining me to cast the games this weekend is going to be Temple Storm's very own Hyped. How you doing, man?
Good, I'm glad to be here.
Good, good. We have some exciting games to bring to you guys today. You just saw on your screen a little taste of what the finals for Season 1 was like. It was an exciting season, but we have a lot more in plan coming up for Season 2. The first thing that we have to note is that we do have a little bit of a different format for how players qualify and how they actually get to the Legendary Series match day. Instead of having a Challenger Cup and a Legendary Series match day every week, it's actually going to move to every 2 weeks. So we'll have a Challenger Cup followed the week after with the Legendary Series match day. The top 6 players from the Challenger Cup over the weekend join 2 invited players to make for an 8-player bracket, basically, for the Legendary Series match day. And also, we do have a lot more on the line. We're giving out about $3,000 every single week to these guys. And then there's going to be a $25,000 land final.
Awesome.
So there's a lot of stakes. Also, we're giving out Blizzard World Championship points. And with that comes a new format. We will be adopting Conquest. And George, as someone who has some experience with Conquest, why don't you go over the rules a little bit and your thoughts on this new Blizzard format?
Okay, sure. So in a best of 5, each player will bring 3 unique decks, and each player has to win with each one of their decks, which is sort of tricky at first to think about. So generally the strategy is you bring 3 classes that have really good across-the-board matchups. So you take a lot of risks if you bring classes that can only beat a few other classes. And since each player has to win with each one of their classes, you get to see every player play all their decks, and you get to see decks line up that you normally wouldn't see line up. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really interesting. You see a lot more variety. You don't see someone like 3-0ing with Zoo or 3-0ing with Hunter. The winner has to play all 3 of their decks. The loser can switch decks. There's a lot of mind games that are
cool.
still involved. You don't see just the meta defined by counter picks, or you're bringing a deck because you think that it's going to be a counter to a deck that beats one of your other decks. It's a lot more that goes on into it, and I'm looking forward to seeing this new format for Legendary Series and for the Blizzard World Championships. Also, we have some old sponsors and new sponsors on board for this season. We'd like to give a big shout out to Plantronics as well as Gigabyte for joining us as our sponsors for Season 2 of the Legendary Series. We have a lot more prizes in stores, a lot more giveaways. We're up in the production here for Season 2, making things a little bit bigger stakes. So we'd like to give a big shout out to those guys for making all of this possible. Also, if you guys have any thoughts, any feedback, if you'd like to talk to me and Hyped about the matches today, let us know what you think by tweeting at the hashtag HLS or at ESL Hearthstone. We'll be checking those tweets throughout the day and giving you guys some responses. Also, we are going to be doing some giveaways as well. Head over to esl.gg/legendary giveaway. We do have quite a few packs.
How many packs?
Lots of packs. I think 50 packs we're giving away. They're classic packs, which as the resident pack expert on board here for the day, the classic packs do give you a higher chance. Well, there's a bigger card pool, more dust.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I'm all about those
That's what
packs.
you need if you're going to craft those golden cards.
Exactly. And I'm all about those golden cards, as we know. So head on over there, check out those raffles. So we are going to take a look at the groups that we're going to be seeing for today. Now, it is a GSL-style group play. So we're going to go through Group A at the beginning of the day, and then Group B. Basically what it is like a double elimination group stage. We will have one player from each group eliminated by the end of the day to move on to the playoff stage, which will happen tomorrow. So, Hype, why don't you go over the players that we're going to be seeing first in Group A?
In Group A, we have liimujx, gcttirth, Koro Neko, and Life Coach as the invite.
And, of course, for Group B, which we'll see the second half of the day, it's going to be Azuzu, Bub Senpai, Kaldi, and Strive Crow. And you see the first 3 players in each group were the players that made it through the Challenger Cup. And then Life Coach and Strive Crow are the 2 players that have been invited for this week. And those are 2 hard-hitting players to be invited for the very first week. Strive Crow ranked #1 in the world by Gosu Gamers. Life Coach, we were just checking before, he bumped down to #3.
Just barely by Firebat. But if he wins one game today, he should be #2. So by the time he lines up with Strife Crow at the finals of this weekend, it should be 1 and 2.
Yeah, we'll have to see. We've actually never seen, I believe, an invite versus invite finals in the Legendary Series match out of all 8 weeks that happened for the regular season last week. So these Challenger Cup players, they know. And, of course, the first matchup is going to be liimujx versus gcttirth. Now, liimujx, Players may not know much about him. He's a 19-year-old. He's a student from Southern California. He's played Hearthstone competitive for he's played it for about 10 months. He doesn't compete in too many tournaments, but he's definitely looking to make a showing here. And of course, being guaranteed $200, I'm sure he's happy about that. Now, gcttirth, on the other hand, he's a player that you're a little bit more familiar with because of his participation in the weekly cups.
Yeah, you see this guy in every single ESL all the time. He's always making it pretty far, and he's making it to the finals a few times too. He was in the Legendary Series the last time I cast, this time as well. And liimujx, I don't know his name as well, but I do see him on ladder quite a bit. I think he was playing Rogue last time I faced him, so I wouldn't be surprised to see a Oil Rogue, as he's brought Rogue here. Both players brought Shaman as well. This is interesting. gcttirth is known for usually playing a lot of aggro classes like Backspace Rogue, Face Hunter. So he has none of that today.
Yeah, that's a little bit interesting. And I was talking to both these guys a little bit last week, and liimujx actually said his favorite class was Shaman. And he says he likes to play like underdog classes that are underrepresented. And gcttirth sort of had the same mindset. He said he likes to play the underdog classes as well. And not surprisingly, both these guys picked Shaman as their first matchup here. We don't see Shaman brought very often, unless you have to, like a 9-deck format where you have to bring it. It's been the most underrepresented class in most of the tournaments, especially Conquest, that we've seen for quite a while. What are your thoughts on Shaman right now?
It's pretty decent in Conquest because although it's not the strongest class, it doesn't. It can be like a very wide variety of classes, and that's what you want in Conquest. Although typically in Conquest you'd start with your class that can beat the least amount of other decks. So I'm surprised he didn't open a Priest for gcttirth and then liimujx, Paladin, Shaman. Okay, so liimujx's pick is fine. It looks like they're both. Neither of them are like the aggro mech Shaman.
Yeah.
It's possible that liimujx is, but with 3 Mana Tides being seen here, you can guess they're both mid-range control Paladin or Shamans.
liimujx also said his favorite card was Neptulon, so I'm sure that card will be in the deck somewhere. I remember back to Legendary Series Week 1 when gcttirth played. I believe he was playing Shaman back then, but that was like pre-GVG. That was way back in the day. So, Zombie Chow.
There's the Neptulon. Not as good as Dr. Boom, though, in terms of the early game. It'll be great later when they're both out of cards, but...
I think Neptulon plus Dr. Boom in any deck is a little bit overkill.
Oh, yeah. Well, we might see. He's got the coin. Coins out the Boom, plays the Neptulon. Be good to go.
Whoa. Next level plays.
Looks like gcttirth. Well, I was going to say gcttirth had a better opening hand, but the Lightning Storm might neutralize that.
Yeah. Now the Power Mace. Power Mace is pretty good value just by itself, even if you don't get mech synergy. I mean, it's basically like a Fiery War Axe, just that costs 1 more mana.
Yeah.
Do you think that indicates that he's running any mechs, or
definitely at least Piloted Shredder?
Okay.
Piloted Shredder. What's the other ones? Antique Healbot. It's a mech. People forget about that. And there's usually just like one more that I'm forgetting at this moment.
An
Oiltron? Maybe not in this deck though.
Yeah.
Maybe he just runs the Whirling Zap-O-Matic, even though it's like a control deck. It's just like a decent creature.
Whirling Zap-O-Matic, if you can get that early on with a Power Mace, and then be able to like put Flame Tongue Totem down, you can win games on like turn 4-5 if you get like the dream opening.
Oh yeah. And so clearing it up.
Ooh.
liimujx has got to be pretty happy. He's got the Storm and the Belcher to stall for his Neptulon.
Yeah.
The Hex even.
Yeah. Usually in Shaman vs. Shaman, there's just so much like removal early on. Usually just trading boards back and forth. That it eventually comes down to like a top deck war, it seems like a lot of the times. And
so we're probably going to see this get kind of ground out.
Yeah. So like the further you can take your cards, like cards like Neptulon, I mean, you're basically refilling your hand for free. You're not even using cards from your deck to refill your hand. You're just refilling it just out of nowhere.
Yeah, there's the Boom, though, which is definitely better than the Neptulon early on.
That's true. Yeah.
And we're definitely going to see a Hex on that.
Yeah.
Although, the Sludge Belcher does, trade with it, even though it's turn 4. So he might be tempted to wait and get greedy and just let the Sludge Belcher do its job.
You can be a little bit liberal with your Hexes when you have 2.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see it. He's definitely, that's like his first choice. He's like, all right, do I have to use this Hex? Probably, but maybe not. That's what he's thinking right now.
Yeah. I had a dream the other day about Dr. Boom.
Oh no.
I was dressed up as Dr. Boom, and Stripe Bro and Life Coach were on either side of me dressed up as Boombots. And we were running through a field, and there was an angry mob of people with baseball bats with the word Nerf painted in red. Looked like it was painted in blood on the bats.
No.
And do you know Teletubbies?
I do. Yes.
The baby sun in the sky that laughs? Well, the baby sun was there, but instead of like a baby laugh, it was Ben Brode's laugh.
Oh.
It was the scariest dream I've ever had in my entire life.
You got Stripe Bro and Life Coach with you.
Yeah.
Oh wow, the double spell power board.
Oh, jeez.
No more spells, but still. As a rogue, when you have this board, you feel like invincible. 2 Azure Drakes, you just kill everything.
I've seen a lot of shamans actually cut Lightning Bolt, or at least one of the Lightning Bolts out of their deck.
Generally favoring the Rock Biter early, because you don't have to deal with the overload. I have seen like 1 and 1 though, which is interesting. 1 Rock Biter, 1 Lightning Bolt. See that occasionally.
I like 2 Rock Biters at least.
Yeah.
Or like a Lightning Bolt and a Crackle.
Actually can take the risk. Okay, he's not gonna go for it.
I think if he had rolled the Spell Power Totem, he probably would have tried to. Well,
yeah. Well, it looks like next turn he could do the Totem and then Crackle and Storm, so he should be able to, you know, clear everything.
Cleaned it up pretty nicely.
Although gcttirth's got the Dr. Boom that's about to come down.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm forgetting who went first. I think he has 7 mana, so yeah.
gcttirth is actually a player from India, so you can see his webcam is a little bit grainy. It's not because his webcam's poor quality, just because he said that India, he doesn't have the greatest internet, and a lot of times when he's connecting to like servers that are far away, like for other competitive games, he gets really high ping. So he plays Hearthstone. One of the reasons he plays is because ping doesn't really matter in Hearthstone.
As long as you don't disconnect, you're good to go.
Yeah, you don't have to no-scope plebs in Hearthstone.
It is cool to see, though, that the game is global. We have Koro Neko later today. He's from Japan.
Mm-hmm.
We got some European players, India. It's pretty much everywhere.
New Zealand as well.
We do have a New Zealand player.
It's pretty crazy. It's a global experience.
Oh, and Caldi. Caldi's from Iceland, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
All corners of the world. Oh, he's overloaded, so he couldn't play the boom.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Maybe he didn't want to overextend anyways.
That's very true.
He's going to wait for that storm to come down, then just play the boom and not immediately have like 4 creatures on the board.
He's in a pretty good position right now. Even if his board gets cleared here, he's not like that far behind on cards. But the boom plus an Epsilon is going to give liimujx a pretty big advantage over the next couple turns.
This is like one of the best ways to use the boom bots is like when you have AoE, you let the boom bots explode first, then you clean up with your spells.
Why is that?
Oh, no, well, just like it makes you know
see
where
the
to
board state.
Yeah, you know where to point. Well, a lightning storm is AoE, so it's like just like a pure AoE, but maybe something like swipe. You can aim the swipe perfectly with the boom bot explosions.
Yeah.
But in this case, well, first we're gonna see his storm. See how this goes.
See if he'll roll high here on the boom, and he does.
Oh, you know, oh, he's got the healing totem. Like he would have been happy with that 1, maybe, or 2.
Those boom bots basically did nothing because the healing totem just completely negated the 2 1-hits from the boom bots.
That's it. That's like one of the first times I've seen it fully negated. Like the best way to deal with it usually is like, as you know, as a warrior, maybe like throw down 2 armor smiths and like you're good to go.
Yeah.
But these totems are doing it too. Oh man, liimujx, what do? You roll high on everything.
Yeah. Has to roll spell power totem, and then has to get a high roll lightning storm, even with the spell power totem.
Yeah,
and even then he has no
crackle too.
Even then he has no follow-up play aside from crackle. Like he can't develop his own board after.
Yeah, and then gcttirth's gonna follow. If his board somehow gets wiped, he's got the boom. liimujx is thinking, is there any other way? No, he figures there isn't. Doesn't get the spell power.
And, I mean...
It's an absolute best case scenario. He's got like a 4/1 Drake looking at his totem.
Wow.
Doesn't even...
Goes ahead and concedes. And he was pretty much sure that he was going to be dead next turn. There were so many ways that gcttirth could have just finished the game. Crackle, Flame Tongue Totem, Lightning Bolt. Even if he had Lightning Stormed and rolled high on the Defender of Argus, which was the only target he could have killed if he'd rolled high.
That is interesting that he didn't even like take the roll. Usually you want to throw the roll out, but he's like, no, I'm going to save my good RNG for when I need it.
Well, maybe he doesn't want to,
yeah.
give up any information.
That's true.
Some shamans cut Lightning Storm, or they cut one Lightning Storm, and maybe he thinks, oh, if it's in his first 15 cards, maybe it's more likely that he has 2, so he'll play around in the future. But
yeah, definitely that could be what's going on.
Yeah. In Conquest, you have to be careful when you're losing about showing too many cards, because you have to win with that deck. So you want to try and conceal as much information as possible, to a certain extent, I suppose.
All right, so gcttirth Shaman. He won with Shaman, so he's got Priest and Druid left. Okay, we have the screen. So liimujx. Okay, so here's how the Conquest works. You got to use your weakest deck first. So liimujx has his Rogue and his Paladin, which he, let's see, compared to gcttirth, the Rogue and Paladin should be able to beat everything. Paladin's great versus Druid. It's great for, is it great for Shaman? Yeah, it's great for Shaman too. And then the Rogue can beat everything. So first his main goal is to get a win somehow with his Shaman. He has to beat one of gcttirth's classes, which is now just Priest and Druid with his Shaman. Then once he gets a win, he can just clean up with Paladin and Rogue.
Yeah.
So he's probably going to stick with Shaman until he can get a win with it.
Yeah. He actually switches it up to Rogue, which is okay. It ends up being a good call because gcttirth actually goes with Priest.
Yeah, so it would have beat the Shaman anyways.
Yeah.
Although the new Shaman, the new Priest, the Shaman can win because the Priest has got like Akanai Circle and a lot of AoE typically. Shaman has a chance.
Yeah. It's not quite as bad as it once was. But Rogue, I'd say, is a fantastic matchup against Priest.
Yeah, but did he need to beat... Okay, it should work out because the Shaman's not going to beat anyway. So now he has to get a win. He's probably going to win this one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he should be okay. But he's going to have to get a win as Shaman, probably against the Druid.
Yeah, which I'd say that's a pretty decent matchup as well for Shaman. You can trade up with a lot of big creatures using like Flame Tech Totem and stuff. But I'm curious to see what kind of Rogue this is, because we've actually seen at the Legendary Series in Katowice, we saw Rogues bringing a lot of like Auctioneer type decks.
I wouldn't be surprised. In the Healbot deck, you can get the Auctioneer in there too sometimes.
Yeah. What are the pros and cons, or what are your thoughts on Sprint versus Gadgetzan Auctioneer?
I liked Auctioneer for a while. It's good against Warrior and Priest. Sprint's great against Priest. It doesn't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
The benefit is you cycle your deck a little bit less, but you get that creature. So Sprint, you draw 3 cards, but you kind of burn it. You draw 4 cards, but you burn, kind of a useless card.
Yeah.
Whereas Gadgetzan, you usually get the 4/4, which is kind of like counts as a card.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you put the 4/4 on the board. That's a card, and you just draw like 1 or 2 more.
Yeah.
It's almost equal.
Yeah.
But usually Sprint. Lately, I've been liking Sprint better because sometimes you just want that. You just want that flurry now.
Yeah.
And then you win.
And like a prep Sprint early on can be like a huge.
Oh, yeah.
You can't prep out a Gadgetzan.
Can't. Yeah. Pretty sure you can.
Well, you can Gadgetzan and then prep other things, but
so it's not innervate though. You can't get it out.
Yeah, that's.
Although the Healbot, this is one of those matchups where you're like, the Healbot might actually hurt liimujx, just because it's not, it's not going to do anything against Priest.
Yeah.
Lets you be a little bit greedier with Blade Flurry if it comes down to that, but it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's actually a pretty decent start from gcttirth. This is what you want if you're playing Priest versus Rogue. He threw down the Pyromancer. He's like, yeah, this could get backstabbed, but if it doesn't, backstab's already been used. So he's pretty happy with this.
Yeah. You have to sort of pressure really hard as the Priest, because what a Rogue wants is to be able to just sit back and be able to build up a big hand and be able to build up a really tough board to deal with. And one of the main things that Rogues fall to is just straight up pressure. That's why they're weak against like Hunters, or a lot of times we'll say that Mech Mage is pretty good as well.
Yeah, some of the problems with Priest is like he knows at any point Blade Flurry is drawn, his board's getting done, but he's just like, all right, I just gotta go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, not healing the Shredder. Injured Blade Master, just throwing down the Cult Master. It's fine. He's got like plenty of creatures.
Yeah.
That's needs though. He's gonna have to bait out saps, because if you play that, you get sapped. You play it again, you get sapped. You just lose no matter what, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And we see the double sap already.
Such a tough card to play. It's like Tyrion in the Paladin matchup.
Oh yeah.
It's usually it can be that card that gets you back into games against other matchups. And then against Rogue, a matchup that Paladin already struggles with, you just throw out the Tyrion, just hoping, and then
Yeah.
sap. Oh, I'm dead. Oh.
That was a pretty early flurry. He would have got the Belcher. Okay, well, the Cult Master wouldn't have died to the flurry. Although he could have set up where he could have like fan flurried and killed everything. This may be a little too early. Especially since he doesn't even have like a play really this turn.
Yeah, I think you can afford to be a little bit more conservative with them.
Yeah, especially with the heal bot, like I was saying.
Yeah.
You run the heal bot, you have less, it's like a low value creature, but you can get more value out of it by being greedier with your flurry.
Oh, wow. Well,
One sap down.
Yeah.
Oh man, he has double Belcher. That's really good. So even if it gets sapped again, he could go turn 10, double Belcher.
Yeah. Usually, as a rogue, you want to be able to build something during the turn that you're sapping.
Yeah, well, typically. Or at least do something.
Yeah. All he did was just re-dagger.
Yeah,
he sapped and then re-daggered. Because his hand is
3 damage.
Yeah.
Although, if he didn't sap, he would have been facing 2 Belchers.
Yeah.
But, yeah, he's going to have a lot of trouble with that Sneeze. Although Sneeze only does 5 damage, right? So
yeah, that's true, that's true.
What kind of priest dude? He can, if he runs Argus, probably not, though. Not much you could do with the Sneeds.
Sometimes killing the Sneeds, you're actually in a worse off position than if you just left it alone.
Typically.
Yeah.
It's going to have more power.
Or more utility.
Yeah. I was hoping to steal. Actually, he's like, well, I wanted to steal something, but it's kind of bad.
Yeah.
He'll take it.
I mean, Blood Mage Thalnos is probably the only other target you'd be able to get. Or like a 1/1 token from a Violet Teacher.
Yeah. Maybe you wanted like a healing totem or a mana tide. Something like that would be sick. Or
Yeah.
Nat Pagel.
Nat Pagel.
So even though gcttirth has had an amazing start and the Rogues had a horrible start, he can still come back because that's how this matchup works.
Yeah.
So he just sprinted. He used that first flurry really quickly, so he's going to need to find the second flurry quickly. He's got the prep, which is great. He hasn't used any prep, so there's the double prep. So that's exactly what you want. All he needs is the flurry, and he could easily get back into this game.
But it's still going to be tough. I mean, he is at 11 health, so he's got to find a way to deal with this board very quickly.
Yeah, he could have set up a... he could have done like SI7, Edwin, Dagger, and prep sapped, and he could have had like, SI7 and like a 6/6 or however big you want to make the Edwin. Although 6/6, it's weird against Priest. Usually you go 6/6 to avoid the BGH, but against Priest they have the Shadow of Death, so you either go 4 or you go huge.
Yeah. Because either way, whether or not it's a 6, Priest usually run like 2 Shadow of Death and no BGH.
Yeah.
So whether or not it's a 6/6 or a 16/16 or a 32/32.
Yeah. He's gonna maybe watch out for the mind control, but he's got one more turn.
Yeah.
Actually, there's the coin there.
Yeah.
So he actually could have got it mind controlled.
Whoa. Whoa.
He's got nothing here though.
Nope.
So maybe sap the most expensive one or the Belcher. Sap one of the right two probably.
Oh, he's running out of time though.
Oh, he can still make the Ed one.
Yeah. Looks like that's what he wants to do here. It's a reasonable sized Ed one, but he's still in a pretty tough board state at the moment.
Yeah. So he's now out of saps, and he needs the flurry.
He can Thoughtseal and try and draw into like an Eviscerate for lethal.
Yeah, if he's gonna Shadow of Death, oh, he's just gonna get the Belcher down.
That's probably a more consistent play at this stage.
I wonder if he coins out a heal. Oh, no. Oh, he is, but not on the creature.
Okay.
Oh, no. Okay, just more pressure.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, you don't have the flurry this turn, you lose. You can remove one of my creatures, but...
He actually could have saved his
Yeah.
Blade Master with that coin. So whether or not he wanted it would have been a 4/1 as opposed to a 3/2.
I think this is good, though. He's seen a flurry, so he knows maybe one will get a Vis, but an AoE's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
All right, so that's his second prep. So if he preps a sprint, he's going to have 1 mana. He won't be able to do anything except for double backstab, maybe.
Yeah, Sprint's not the card he wanted to see in that situation.
All right, so he can kill stuff, but not without using his dagger and hitting something, so...
Think he's dead?
He's done. If he gets double backstab, he's still dead, yeah.
Desperation sprint.
Yeah.
And draw into a South Sea deckhand is about the only thing he can play at this stage. And there he goes. He concedes. And GctTirth takes a, I'd say, an unfavorable matchup and finds a victory with Priest.
Yeah, so now GCT... Oh, this is a strong conquest strategy is that you have your Druid last. So Druid is really hard to lose 3 times with Druid.
Yeah.
One of those times you'll get the Wild Growth Innervate. So he's in a really good position.
Setting himself up for success. And GctTirth, you mentioned earlier, he's a player that pretty much plays in every single tournament that he can get his hands on. Every single open tournament. We see him in the Challenger Cup series for ESL every week. Just everything that he can get his hands on, he plays. And I'm sure he's had quite a bit of experience with Conquest over the past couple days.
It's paying off right here.
It is paying off. He actually tried to make the read last time that liimujx would stay with the Shaman, so he could just pick it up with the Priest. But he takes the victory against Rogue, and that puts liimujx in a really rough spot. His last class is...
Oh, liimujx, he's got all 3.
Oh,
yeah. He has to win against Druid with Shaman, Paladin, and Rogue. It's not impossible, but with 3 chances to get just... And one of those times is going to get insane. He's going to get like a Dr. Moon on 3 one of those games, and he'll still win.
None of those matchups are terrible against Druid.
Yeah, they're all pretty good, actually.
Yeah. So there's a chance, but it's an uphill battle, and GctTirth looks like he's on his game.
So the only strategy here, well, it depends. Like if the tournament, this one, it doesn't really matter your matchup score at the end. It's not going to come down to tiebreakers. So liimujx could go with whatever he wants here because all 3 have to beat Druid. So the only thing that really matters is, say, whatever classes of his needs the most information. So say he's playing something like Handlock or Control Warrior, you want a lot of information, so use those last. Whereas Rogue, actually, So let's see. I'm trying to think of like what kind of information he'd want for what of his classes. Like which ones need the scouting, which ones can scout, and which ones need the scouting. So maybe Shaman, it's like a longer game versus Druid, so you want a lot of information, so he's going to use that last. So first he's going to get a win with Rogue. Rogue versus Druid, it's pretty straightforward. The Druid's deck doesn't really change your game plan too much.
He actually goes with Shaman.
Shaman. Oh, I'm wrong.
Opposite.
Actually, I think he'd go with Paladin. So Paladin is favored versus Druid the most, I'd say. So you just get the win, and you gather information about the Druid class.
Okay. Well...
But what do I know?
It might just be that he doesn't have much experience with the Conquest format. I actually think that's what it is, because I talked to him. He said he hasn't played in many tournaments. When I asked him what his thoughts on the Conquest format, he didn't really have any words. He said he was a little bit worried that Blizzard sort of made it a standard, but other than that, he didn't really have any thoughts on it. He said overall it was a good format, but that was about it. We also mentioned earlier Shaman is his favorite class, so maybe he's just going with comfort. Maybe he thinks that, hey, my back's against the wall. I need to win with all 3 decks, but I need to get the ball rolling with Shaman.
It's a decent strategy. It's decent. It's not to be under, It's like to get your head back in the game. You play something where it doesn't matter how rattled you are.
Yeah, like that High School Musical song.
Actually, it could have been, it could have been like, maybe the Rogue, that early flurry, that maybe he could be thinking, it's like, I did flurry early. Maybe it's because I'm, misplaying. Maybe I need to get my nerves straight.
Yeah.
Okay, so actually, remember I said usually you want to get information about Druid, but usually it doesn't matter. But now he is going to learn that there's a Kel'Thuzad in the deck. Yeah. Which is, although that's going to affect his Shaman versus Druid more than any of the other matches. It's not going to come up as much as versus Paladin or Rogue. So this is why I would have said to save the Shaman for last, because Shaman would really benefit from knowing there's a Kel'Thuzad in the Druid deck. Yeah. Kel'Thuzad is one of those cards where you can just sneak it in, like, usually only Druid, but maybe Warrior, or, I played Kel'Thuzad Rogue recently, and you can, if it comes down, it gets value. You just get them, and they're like, wow, I didn't know there's a Kel'Thuzad on the deck. I lose now.
Got him. I've seen it in Paladin, too.
Yeah, well, Paladin, it's harder for a Paladin to be sneaky, because they're, like, behind the whole game.
Yeah.
Like, finally, you get them out of cards, and then you play Kel'Thuzad. Like, all right, you beat me, Paladin.
Yeah.
Whereas Druid, it comes down, and you're like, wow.
Playing Rogue on the ladder recently, it's like he plays Kel'Thuzad to try and get back, and it just puts him further behind because of sap.
Yeah, you just sap it.
Yeah.
So that could be what happens if gcttirth isn't able to build up a board. Sometimes you just see that Kel'Thuzad 6/8 come out, open board. Yeah. Like, all right.
One thing you have to factor into these types of tournaments is these things go pretty long. gcttirth, we did mention he's in India, so it'll get pretty late there as the tournament progresses. And liimujx, I mean, it's still pretty early here in California. He might just be rolling out of bed.
Yeah, I mean, if gcttirth is playing in all these tournaments, maybe he's just on our sleep schedule or something.
Maybe he just doesn't sleep.
Yeah, just more likely to.
Plays in every single Hearthstone tournament and never sleeps. The Hearthstone robot.
Okay, so there's the Ancient of War. That is okay. So that is one of the cards. Remember, I said Rogue doesn't really need to know about the Druid deck.
Yeah.
You do kind of need to know about Ancient of War before
Yeah.
you sap like a 4-drop or something. All right, so gcttirth had the Wild Growth, but he's not too far ahead. liimujx is keeping up pretty decently. gcttirth doesn't even have a good play. He's gonna have to. Okay, right as I say that, I look at the swipe on the Azure Drake. It's good to go. Is it usually you just want creatures against Shaman? You don't care about spells. You just keep playing creatures.
Yeah.
But that is a pretty good swipe.
And with the Wild Growth, start. Oh, he decides to actually throw down.
You gonna throw down the second one?
I mean, if you're throwing down the first one, might as well throw down the second.
Yeah, it's not like the Greatest Storm. Shamans don't play MC Tech.
Yeah.
They just totem stomp all game.
Yeah.
Oh man, he's behind with no Hex. Does have the Fire Elemental.
Yeah.
It's pretty decent here. The Wrath from gcttirth is going to trade. So the Shaman. Okay, so the Fire Elemental is going to kill two Zombie Chows and a Wrath. Pretty decent. Although gcttirth might just throw down the Ancient of War. So these 3 creatures on the right are just going to trade right into the Fire Elemental.
I think this is a non-combo Druid with cards like Kel'Thuzad and Ancient of War.
You can definitely afford one combo with Kel'Thuzad, but yeah, double Chow, Ancient of War. It could just be straight Ramp Druid.
Yeah, it's true. We did see quite a
There's
few.
the Shield Master.
We did see quite a few Ramp Druids at, I believe it was IM Katowice, the Legendary Series there. There was a lot of weird decks, like decks that people were bringing, but weird variations, like the Gadgetzan for Rogue. There was heavy Ramp Druid instead of mid-range Druid, things like that, and different things in the Priest deck as well.
Oh man, I mean heavy Ramp. Yeah, Shaman's great versus Ramp, but not when you're behind like this.
Yeah, Neptune on turn 7 as well. I guess that's one of the other weaknesses about Dr. Boom, because if you play Dr. Boom on turn 7, that's great. It's Dr. Boom. He's going to have immediate board impact. With Neptune, yeah, you fill your hand, but you're overloading yourself for the next turn. So if you're behind, it just makes it that much harder to catch up. So
Yeah,
he's got to
unless
try
you get like the 4 bluegills with the Flame Tongue. They
Yeah.
do 5 damage each with the Flame
Whoa.
Tongue.
Machine Gun Shaman right there.
Alright, so which one's he going to get? Yeah, there's Ancient of War. He doesn't really need cards with the Ancient of War, so he may as well just make the power play with the Ancient of War. Like, go ahead, Hex it. If you don't have Hex, I'll just throw it on Kel'Thuzad.
Yeah. liimujx needs a Hex in the next, probably in the next draw.
Next 2 draw. He needs Hex
Yeah.
and Hex. Although he could throw it on the Manatite Totem.
He can feel a little safer after seeing the Kel'Thuzad, after seeing the Ancient of War, that combo is less likely. Or maybe not less likely as far as the whole deck goes, but less likely that he runs like 2 Savage Roars that'll have it in his hand earlier on. So
Also, see,
he's got to dig.
yeah, but as you can see, gcttirth's huge board just disappeared. He's only got 2 creatures. He's probably just going to throw that on Kel'Thuzad as a big dude.
Mhm.
Goes for the Ancient of Lore. So he wants the Kel'Thuzad value.
Yeah.
I don't know, though. Sometimes, I mean, against a Shaman, you just want the big body. If it doesn't get Hex, it's just going to live for like 3 turns.
He could assume that there was no Hex from the
Yeah.
previous turn, because that was almost an automatic Hex that would have
For sure.
been onto the Ancient of War.
I just picked up the Scenarios too, which is great. Just huge creatures, what you want against Shaman.
Yeah,
Is it time to go for the 4 bluegill?
I think so. I mean, this is about the best state that your board's going to be in, I think,
Yeah.
for you to be able to use Neptune.
He can Azure Drake and do a Crackle for 7 or 6, but he can't Azure Drake into the Hex this turn. Sludge Belcher is really bad on this board.
Yeah. And if he just Azure Drakes and doesn't draw into anything that he can use, using Totem and then passing up the rest of the turn would be pretty bad as well. But he decides to buy him some
I don't
time
know
at
about
least.
this. It's like a Ramp Druid. They're not going to kill you. It takes a long time for them to kill you, so you
Yeah.
have time. So you may as well make the value play with the Neptulon or the.
Mhm.
I mean, he knows if that. Yeah. I mean, that's what he's worried about. He's like, if I
Yeah,
turn
yeah.
the Neptulon, gets BGH, I just lose. But this Belcher, I guess, maybe he's thinking to prep the board for like a second AoE, or maybe this Flame Tongue. Actually, okay, that was probably the play. He probably just wanted more Flame Tongue targets. He's going to soften up these 2 Ancients a little bit. Okay, so he just saw the storm, so he goes with the trounce. Usually you just go with the, when you play ramp druid, you just go with the buff whenever possible. But he just saw the AoE, so he's good to go.
Yeah, and in this case, if he had buffed, he would have been more susceptible to BGH, which could have allowed
That's true, yeah.
liimujx to maybe have a chance at clawing his way back in. And you said it since you saw
I didn't
the
even
storm.
see that pickup. That's huge.
That's really big.
It's already back in the game.
Whoa! Now if he picks up a Hex, he's already been through an Ancient of Lore, Ancient of War, the Cenarius. He can feel pretty good about himself at this stage. Ooh. But that's the nature of that heavy ramp druid, just big threat after big threat after big threat.
Oh man. Looking for the Hex, I guess, or anything. Okay, so he's got time. He's got time. But he has to find... It's like the AoE isn't even good enough against Druid. The creatures are so high HP.
Yeah. In Shaman, they have a lot of low-cost cards or creatures that are not easily dealt with, but he's already drawn through. He's had quite a bit of card draw, both Azure Drakes. He threw down the Mana Tide as well. And he's already, it feels like he's running out of cards. I guess that's where the Neptulon's going to come in, but he's in trouble.
Yeah. See if he like softens up some, like that Sylvanas, so he can get the Kel'Thuzad play next turn. Probably not. They're just valuing the unkillable board. You saw a Mana Tide. That's usually like the one of the things you save Keeper for is Mana Tide. Down. He's like, all right, let's throw it down. One of the cards that's really good in the Shaman. One of the cards that made Shaman really good against Druid is Feral Spirits, but we see a lot of Shamans cutting that. Although it is starting to work its way back in, but we didn't see it in any other games, so I don't think he plays it.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of Shamans run like one copy of Feral Spirit.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
Yeah.
All right, I need something. Cold Light? Oh, the Raider. Is the Raider the worst one? Maybe the Oracle's worse.
Well, okay, so he's seen Swipe, and he has triple Raider.
I just raided up.
Just raid. Murloc raid right now going on. Doesn't even hold back. The scariest thing.
So he's only used one Flame Tongue, right? So maybe he's gonna fish for the Flame Tongue with that Cold Light.
Yeah.
That'd be sick.
That's possible. Oh no. I mean, he could steal one of the Raiders.
Yeah.
And revive his Sylvanas and his...
He might just revive the Cenarius to back full HP, just throw the Cenarius and the Keeper into the 7/7.
Yeah. But stealing a Raider just feels so enticing.
Alright, you gotta steal it.
Yeah.
Alright. He's gonna work it, so maybe he has a higher chance to steal the Neptulon. Oh, guaranteed steal on the Neptulon.
Guaranteed steal on the Neptulon. Would you rather have a 7/2
or a 2/1
or a Murloc Raider? Wow, that's a very intimidating board.
Okay, Storm is what he wanted, but he still needs the Hex, so he has to Cold Light.
He doesn't even have enough mana to...
Oh, man.
I mean, he can Cold Light into the Hex this turn. There's 19 damage. There would still be 19 damage staring at him on the board.
Boom.
I think he's still dead. Even if he hexes the Kel'Thuzad at this stage, then he's still...
Yeah, to that Keeper.
Yeah. He would only need to find 2 damage, so...
Almost. He's just eating ice cream. What is that?
I think it's a pineapple.
He's eating.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I couldn't tell what it was. He eats very quickly.
Is that like a comfort eat? He knows he's losing.
Yeah. His eating mechanics are top-notch.
I don't know if I've ever seen a player eat during a tournament match.
Don't need mechanics for Hearthstone, but you definitely need mechanics for eating. But gcttirth is going to take a 3-0 victory over liimujx. And I actually think liimujx was the #1 seed coming from the Challenger Cup. And
who did you say he beat?
liimujx actually beat... oh, no. He didn't beat any big names.
Okay.
But he did have a really solid run, and some of the players that he beat big name players. So
it was like 1,000 players at least, right?
It was a lot of players.
It was crazy.
It was a lot of players. Yeah, a lot of players can participate in those cups since it's every 2 weeks now. Usually have more signups when it comes, and there's more on the line because just for winning or placing in that cup, you get Blizzard Championship points.
Yeah, I competed. I lost to Naaman, that hunter.
Okay,
really good.
Mm-hmm.
I lost first round, and then I forgot it was double elimination, so I just AFK'd. It's like, a little upset about that, but yeah.
Well, now you know. Now you know.
So yeah, everyone that wants to play, it's next weekend since it's every other weekend,
Mhm.
and it's double elimination. So if you get knocked out, don't AFK and get emo like me. Just keep going.
And if you qualify for the Legendary Series match day, you're guaranteed $200. So everybody here goes home with $200. The winner, of course, gets a guaranteed spot at the LAN finals in June and gets $1,500. So guys, tell us what you thought about that match, what you think about the upcoming matches for the day. If you have any predictions, you can tweet at us at ESL Hearthstone or with the hashtag HLS. We will be periodically checking those tweets throughout the day when we have time. We have a lot more Group A matches left, and we do have Group B matches left. I think we have 7 best of 5s left for today, so it's going to be a long day filled with plenty of Hearthstone Legendary Series action. The next match coming up is going to be Koroniko versus Life Coach. So Koroniko was a Japanese player. He beat a lot of players, Zixo, Luffy going through the main bracket. So that's going to be a really exciting match, and as well the conclusion of Group A. So guys, don't go anywhere. More Hearthstone Legendary Series action continues right after this.